Hello everyone, my name is Lucio, and welcome to the show. Today I read An End to Suffering. In this book, the author, Pankaj Mishra, seeks to understand Buddha's place and relevance in a world where class oppression and violence overrule the majority of our nation or any nation. The writing I found is very beautiful. One example of this can be found on page 246 where it states, "And it was of this diminishment that she spoke to me, her voice low with complaint, when she told me that after noon, assuming personal intimacy we had never had before, of her frustrations at her as yet temporary job, the competitive spitefulness of her colleagues, the excessive formality and sterility of social life among academics, all this in the cramped restaurant, the pavement outside bright with the banter of students bathing in unaccustomed autumn sun." Early on, or more specifically in the first chapter, the writer talks about his time in the Himalayan Mountains and his journey through India, from Kashmir to other places. On page 152, it says, "I stayed in monasteries and cheap road houses when walking through gorges and across quiet glacier-strewn slopes, and I returned to Mashra. The roadhouse smells of tobacco and burnt manure still sticking to my clothes, with memories of early morning mist, bright dry afternoons, and brisk sunsets." This is another example of the beautiful prose the author manages to capture while his stay at India. I would also like to talk about the liberation of India, which was an Indian independence movement, was a series of historical events with the ultimate aim of ending British rule in India. The movement spanned from 1857 to 1947, and furthermore, Wikipedia states, the first nationalistic revolutionary movement of Indian independence emerged from Bengal. It later took root in the newly formed India National Congress, with prominent moderate leaders seeking only their fundamental right to appear for Indian civil service examinations in British India, as well as more rights for the people of the soil. The early part of the 20th century saw a more radical approach towards political self-rule proposed by leaders such as the Lal Bal Pal Triumvirate, Aurobindo Ghosh, and V.O. Chidambaram Pillai. The author also talks about Kashmir and his stay over Kashmir and how it was a beautiful place to be in. This book largely centers around Buddhist teachings, but it also features other philosophers who took Buddhism in the West, such as Nietzsche and most famously Schopenhauer. Schopenhauer wrote The World as Will and Representation in a couple of volumes, either 2 or 3, I'm not exactly sure. And Nietzsche was heavily influenced by both Wagner, the musician, and Schopenhauer himself. His later work was a reevaluation of his values, which was to contradict Schopenhauer's beliefs in a more mature and wiser way. In the end, if you're interested in Buddhism or the history of Buddhist teaching and the philosophy of Buddha, then you will most likely like this book. And also, a side note, if you're wondering where the Cormac McCarthy The Crossing review is up soon, I just became daunted with the project itself and the complexity of the novel. But I will do it eventually, so don't lose hope. Thank you, and have a good day.